you ever wake up feeling a profound sense of quiet emptiness, even when your daily life looks perfectly fine on the outside? In our modern and deeply hyper-connected world, many of us are silently struggling with a unique kind of mental exhaustion. We relentlessly chase after corporate career promotions, painstakingly accumulate material wealth, and carefully curate our social media profiles, hoping these external achievements will finally make us feel whole. Yet, the persistent feeling of a hollow void remains deeply embedded within us. Clinical psychologists functionally call this modern phenomenon the existential vacuum. Our advanced society has largely solved the basic problems of physical survival and shelter, but we have somehow lost our fundamental, underlying reason for living. You might often find yourself staring blankly at your ceiling late night, softly wondering if there is any deeper purpose to the repetitive daily grind of your routine. If you are feeling this quiet modern despair, I want you to realize you are deeply not alone in this specific struggle. Today, we are going to explore a philosophical perspective that completely reframes how we fundamentally view our personal pain and our life purpose. We will look closely at a profound philosophy, not in a comfortable academic university classroom, but in the darkest and most brutal depths of recorded human history. Through the clear eyes of a man who lost absolutely everything, we will learn exactly how to find light in our own modern darkness. Take a quiet, deep breath, silence the demanding notifications on your phone, and let us embark on this calm intellectual journey together. The profound book we are gently opening today is Man's Search for Meaning, written by the renowned Austrian psychiatrist Viktor Frankl. Before the catastrophic outbreak of the Second World War, Frankl was already a highly respected and successful doctor in Vienna, actively treating local patients who were afflicted with severe clinical depression and suicidal thoughts. In September of 1942, his entire safe world inevitably collapsed. He and his entire family were arrested by the fascist Nazi regime and deported to the Theresienstadt concentration camp, and much later transferred to the brutal death camp of Auschwitz. Frankl was aggressively stripped of his hard-earned medical titles, his life's work professional manuscript was violently confiscated, and his pregnant wife, his parents, and his brother were tragically killed in the vast network of camps. He was instantly reduced to a mere identification number tattooed on his fragile skin. In the bleak midst of constant starvation, freezing winter temperatures, and daily physical abuse, basic biological survival seemed completely impossible. Yet, Frankl made a profound and clinical observation, acting as both a suffering prisoner and a trained psychiatrist. He clearly noticed that the prisoners who managed to survive were not necessarily the physically strongest laborers or the most well-nourished individuals. The ultimate survivors were overwhelmingly those who held tightly onto a clear and specific sense of meaning for their impending future. One older man survived purely because of his deep love for his young child waiting safely in a foreign country. Another academic survived simply to finish a complex series of scientific books he had started writing years prior. Frankl sharply realized that physical human suffering itself does not inherently destroy a human being's will. What truly destroys a person is without a clear meaning. He miraculously survived the Holocaust and later famously founded Logotherapy, a psychological clinical school of thought based entirely on the firm premise that the primary human drive is not physical pleasure, as Sigmund Freud previously suggested, but rather the discovery and pursuit of meaning. Frankl proposes three primary avenues through which we can discover this essential meaning in our modern lives. The first avenue is firmly through creating a work or doing a specific deed. This does not necessarily mean painting a famous historical masterpiece or aggressively building a giant global corporate empire. It simply means faithfully dedicating yourself to a task that requires your unique personal contribution. It could be raising a small child with immense emotional care, slowly creating a quiet community garden, or simply performing your daily office job with a deep sense of honest integrity. The second avenue is warmly through experiencing something or deeply encountering someone. This is the profound psychological path of true love and deep aesthetic human appreciation. When we truly love another human being, we see their absolute core potential, and we actively help them slowly realize it over time. Meaning can also be profoundly found in the quiet physical appreciation of a beautiful classical musical symphony, simply staring at a breathtaking mountain landscape on a Tuesday afternoon. And however, is the third avenue that is arguably Frankl's most powerful and enduring intellectual insight. He stated that we can firmly find profound meaning even when facing an absolutely unavoidable situation of deep, tragic suffering, when we are firmly no longer able to physically change a terrible external situation, for instance, bravely tackling an incurable medical disease diagnosis or enduring the tragic sudden loss of a deeply loved one. We are personally challenged to carefully change ourselves. Between any external physical stimulus and our internal emotional response, there is a small invisible psychological space. In that quiet mental space lies our ultimate human freedom, the unshakable freedom to fiercely choose our own personal attitude in any given set of difficult circumstances. A historical case completely outside of Frankl's own life proves this remarkably well. Consider the famous South African leader Nelson Mandela, who was violently and unjustly imprisoned for 27 long years. The brutal prison guards could heavily control where he slept and exactly what minimal food he ate, but they could absolutely not control his internal emotional attitude. He bravely chose to find deep political meaning in his long confinement, effectively using the solitary time, educate his fellow prisoners, and quietly prepare his mind for a peaceful political transition. He miraculously transformed his agonizing physical suffering into a quiet moral historical victory. Frankl insists that suffering ceases to be mere empty suffering the exact moment it gracefully finds a meaning. We cannot choose our external biological or economic hardships, but we always firmly retain the ultimate mental power to choose how we bravely endure them. How can we specifically apply these heavy historical insights to our own modern, exhausting everyday lives? The first practical step is to fundamentally and radically shift our internal mental perspective from selfishly asking, "What do I constantly expect from life?" to humbly asking, "What does life actively expect from me right now?" When you find yourself deeply exhausted at work or heavily frustrated sitting in endless highway traffic, pause for a briefly quiet moment. Instead of quietly demanding that the complex world constantly accommodate your personal desires and comfort, ask yourself what specific moral responsibility precise difficult moment is asking you to carry. Perhaps your difficult, arrogant colleague is a perfect hidden opportunity for you to actively practice extreme patience and empathy. Perhaps your stressful period of lonely unemployment is a forced opportunity to completely redefine your true core personal values. True meaning is definitively not something you passively find hiding under a shiny rock. It is something you actively forge through your conscious daily responses. And secondly, we must consciously and deliberately stop the obsessive and manic cultural pursuit of pure fleeting happiness. Frankl famously and correctly argued that true happiness cannot be actively and aggressively pursued. It must quietly and naturally ensue. It is the natural, completely unintended psychological byproduct of personal dedication to a meaningful cause significantly greater than oneself. If you constantly and neurotically monitor your own emotional state, asking daily, "Am I perfectly happy today?" you will inevitably feel a sharp and depressing sense of failure. Instead, heavily focus your daily limited energy on faithfully fulfilling your chosen responsibilities, deeply caring for your close loved ones, and consistently doing functionally competent work. Quiet joy you desperately seek will naturally arrive when you are busy looking the other way. Consider the heavily documented biological phenomenon of the helper's high in modern clinical psychology. Scientific studies consistently show that individuals who regularly volunteer their free time to actively aid others report significantly higher levels of subjective well-being and much lower levels of clinical depression than those who focus purely on isolated self-care. Modern science perfectly validates Frankl's historical philosophy. By reaching firmly out into the demanding world to cautiously help someone else carry their heavy burden, the oppressive, crushing weight of your own existential vacuum begins to miraculously lift. Your daily quiet choices, no matter how profoundly small, and invisible they initially seem, are the active physical building blocks of your life's ultimate long-term meaning. As we slowly and thoughtfully bring today's quiet intellectual journey to a reflective close, I heavily encourage you to take a deeply honest and vulnerable look at your own current life situation. You absolutely do not need to personally experience a massive historical tragedy like a World II concentration camp to deeply validate your own personal daily suffering. Your exhausting daily struggles, your quiet lingering anxieties, and your hidden painful moments of profound self-doubt are entirely valid and very humanly real. However, you also definitively possess a remarkable and unshakable inner reservoir of strength that you might not fully recognize yet within yourself. If you are currently standing quietly in a very dark emotional valley, standing tightly and completely unsure of your next professional or personal step, please try to remember Viktor Frankl's quiet, resilient, and enduring voice. Constantly remember that the ultimate last tier of all human freedoms is the sacred unalienable to consciously choose your own internal attitude. You can actively and bravely choose to face your demanding daily challenges with quiet, unshakable dignity. You can intentionally choose to find a small bright pocket of deep meaning in the necessary, heavy, and often boring work of simply carrying on effectively for another day. Your complex life is quietly and persistently asking you a specific important question right now in this exact chapter of your life. And only you possess the exact unique individual ability to confidently and truthfully answer it. And thank you so much for sincerely and generously spending this quiet, deeply reflective time with us today on this channel. The noisy, chaotic outside world is often rushing recklessly and blindly forward, completely and selfishly demanding our constant fractured attention. But it is exclusively in these highly rare, quiet, intentional pauses that we actually find our true, sturdy inner compass. If today's profound historical discussion gently resonated with your struggling heart, please kindly consider warmly subscribing to BookDream today. We will firmly and faithfully be here again next week, quietly waiting patiently, with another timeless classic book and another powerful set of transformative psychological insights to gently help you effectively navigate this complex, beautiful, demanding life. You undeniably have the ultimate resilient power to carefully forge your own successful path forward, exactly one quiet, meaningful choice at a single time. I sincerely wish you a deeply and genuinely peaceful mind, a profoundly purposeful and productive week, and the quiet, steady mental courage to bravely choose your own positive attitude, no matter what heavy, unexpected winds violently blow your way. Please take excellent and gentle care of your precious mental health, and I very much look forward to meeting you again, softly and warmly in the very next upload.